Today, we're going to look at the absolute best stablecoin yields currently in DeFi as of I'm recording this on March 5th, 2025. So let's dive right in. I'm going to try to give you some additional understanding of these yields so that I'm not just like blasting these at you, but I will say I do go fast. And if you want to learn more, go ahead and join the DeFi Dojo Discord. So first things first, Berachain still has two really good stablecoin yields on two different places. That is the BYUSD Honey or USDC Honey pairs. Now these are on BEX, and you can earn BGT if you want to, but there's no reason not to earn iBGT or STBGT, which is a liquid form of BGT, because then you can just sell those emissions and immediately realize this 20% or 19% APR. Now, the reason why I like this is because there's no leverage involved, right? There's no like synthetic or unbacked assets. BYUSD is literally PayPal's USD, just Berachain wrapped, and Honey is just wrapped USDC. And then of course, USDCE is just USDC. So all of these assets I like a lot. I'm not really worried about exposure to them. The yields are decent, super easy to enter. There's tons of liquidity. There's literally $435 million of liquidity between these two. So it's deep. You're not going to dilute it. I like that. What I will say is that the BGT emissions stuff is going to probably change soon. So like these have been the only pools, right? These 5 pools have been the only pools that have been incentivized. So they get quite a bit of APR. We will start seeing more pools incentivized soon. I will say, I think srusd USDC or srusd Honey is going to be a new stablecoin pool. We'll see get incentivized with these soon. So check that out. Now you can farm this on infrared or you can farm it on Stride. The yields are roughly the same, right? Between 19 and 20%. Or you can go over to Beefy. I think I have Beefy up here somewhere. I just have it auto aggregated for you. So let me clear that. Go to stablecoins. And here you go. So 20, 19%. They're going to compound it for you. You don't have to do any compounding. And that's kind of the nice thing, right? So altogether, these pools have like $600 million in them in aggregate. So I like that. Well, there you go. So those are the two first LPs on Berachain. Super easy. If you also want another Berachain yield, you can look at USD on Goldilocks. Fixed rate, fixed date, 18.61%. We're going to talk about this a little bit. This is RUSD, which is Reservoir USD. And one thing to note here, I think that is worth talking about is they need a dark mode. They do have a dark mode. Okay, cool. Is that the base yield on Reservoir currently is, I want to say around like, yeah, it's 12% APY, but that's like 10.89 APR. So if 2.25 points per SRU for RUSD per dollar per day, whatever, is being implied at 18.61. This is for the Pendle folk out there who understand how Pendle works. If they're implying, if you look over here, I can't point, but if you look over in the top right corner, it says 2.25x reservoir points, right? So those are the only yield this is getting as points. That means the implied value of 2.25x reservoir points is 18.61%. So we can assume then that 18.61 divided by 2.2, let me just do a little bit quick math here, my calculator, 18.61 divided by 2.25, that's 8%. So we can assume 8% additional APR on 1 point per day. So if you were, say, leveraging srusd against USDC, so 10% intrinsic APR, 7.67% borrow cost, $3 million here, actually $20 million depth. What they don't show you is that when this gets used up, new USDC gets fed. So we got time. I can walk you through how this works. If you go down here, the two vaults that feed this are Smokehouse USDC and MEV Capital USDC. And if you click on these, for example, what you'll see is for the srusd position, it has a cap of 10 million. Now, it's only supplied 6.33 million so far. Basically what happens is as the interest rate hits a specific number, more of this cap will feed into that sort of automatically. I mean, Morpho is a phenomenal protocol. I love Aave too. I know like the Morpho and Aave team sometimes get into spats, but it's really cool what they've built here. So anyways, it does say only $3 million of liquidity there, but really there is effectively like 20 million in total if you look at both markets. So that's srusd USDC. Now, let's think about this, right? 8% implied from the point, because srusd gets 1 point per dollar per day, plus 10% intrinsic yield. It's 18%. Again, 7% is 11% arbitrage times leverage. So let's go over to a little calculator, right? So 91.5 is the max leverage. Borrow cost was, I don't know, let's call it 7.8, somewhere around there. The collateral yield was 18%. That's 127%, which is nuts. That's wild. So that is something that I like as one of these reservoir plays. If you want to do the fixed rate, no leverage, you absolutely can. I will say one of the things to note about the srusd USDC pair is that, you know, the interest rate can change. It can shift. It can be volatile. It could go over the yield. It's totally possible. Totally possible. Totally reasonable. The srusd against RUSD doesn't really change. So the rate here is sort of auto-managed by Smokehouse, and they keep it sort of algorithmically pushed below the yield of srusd. So srusd APR 10.96, borrow cost 10.21, the 70 bip, roughly 70 bip difference, and you can do 50x leverage here, which is crazy. So the max leverage, if you want to do this automatically on Contango, you could for 33%, but you're not going to get like 50x on the points. They only give you points on the principal. So that's one thing to know here. If you're interested in the points, srusd and USDC is where you want to go. If you're interested on the real yield, I mean, both of these are roughly the same. They're both going to be pushing over 30%. I'll show you that. So if I go back over here and I take away that 8%, I only do the 10.9, it's still 44% real-ish yield. So I say real-ish because it comes from like a lot of lending markets, but it's still like, it's just intrinsic. It's intrinsic yield to the collateral. So I like all that. That's sort of my reservoir shtick. So there's a Goldilocks if you want to get fixed rate. And then of course, if you want to just like leverage these, you can do that on Morpho directly, or you can go over to Contango, go to Simplified, go to Stables, which is going to be over here on the right when it loads. You're also technically participating in Tango points. Now, I need to talk to the Contango team and better understand this. My basic, oh man, I refreshed it the moment it loaded. What Murphy's Law. The way that I understand that it works is that when you are farming these, there are seasons of Contango emissions. So you're basically farming a season of Contango emissions. Let's see if it works. USD rates. We'll give it a few seconds. If it doesn't, you can just believe me. There are so many things on Contango, though, that probably you'll want to see this. When I use Contango, I will always do a minimum investment of like $20,000. Not because I'm going to be investing $20,000, but just because I want to eradicate anything that might get easily diluted. And you can even do 50,000. You can even do 100,000. Sometimes I'll do 100,000. So this is 100. Is that a million? That's a million. We don't have to do a million. We could do a million. We don't have to do a million. $100,000. So anything that can handle $100,000 and still give me a good APR, I'm going to be interested in. So some of these, here you go, right? A lot of these are the PTs that expire this month. Some of these expire later on. You can loop PTs. Just know that historically we've seen some times where the cost to borrow does spike because the PT has some volatility to it, and that is a risk. So here are the srusd markets I was telling you about. Here's the one. This is 42% intrinsic yield. This is against the USDC. Plus you get those reservoir points. Plus you're also getting, you know, those Contango points, which will give you some Tango or Otango in the indefinite future. Then there is the srusd RUSD, which gets you 37% at a crazy amount of leverage, 22.47. You can actually push that higher if you do advanced, but I don't even want to tell you how to do that because it's kind of scary. I mean, it's fundamental Oracle, so really only the interest rate mechanism breaks will it ever be an issue, but you know, things happen. And you get those Contango points. So that's that. And then of course, like you can look at all the PTs there. There's some really good PTs on aggregate on Morpho. There's the Fluid, which is cool. So basically like you can open this automatically on Fluid, as far as I understand. The benefit of doing it on Contango is getting these additional Contango points and Contango emissions that you may want to be exposed to. Same thing for the Euler markets. Like Euler allows you to auto leverage things. Dolomite allows you to auto leverage things. The only benefit again to Contango is one, you can seal all your positions in a singular place, which I like. Two, it's actually really, really easy front end, which I also like. And then three, you're getting, you know, some additional benefits. What I will say is that Contango does have a 5 BIP entry and exit fee. Now you might think, oh, that's not much. But if you're, you know, 20x leveraged in and 20x leveraged out, it's on the notional. So that's actually 1% entrance fee, 1% exit fee at 20x leverage. So with 10% leverage, with 10x leverage, it's only, you know, 0.5%, not that bad. You'll overcome that really quickly. But just know, sort of be aware of the different risks, right, of what's going on. So these are awesome yields. I mean, look at that, 59%, 50%, millions of dollars of principal to deposit. That's not like how much there is to borrow. It's literally how much principal you can put in there and still leverage that up 10x. So that's cool. Shout out to Contango. If you are someone who likes fixed rate yields, like myself, maybe you don't like the leverage, maybe you're a little bit scared, shy of leverage, Pendle and Spectra are like the places you're actually Pendle, Spectra, and Radex if we're looking at these. So let's look at all three of these. Pendle is obviously like the big boy in the room. This is the king of fixed rate, fixed dates. They're going to have Boros soon. You're going to be able to hedge your funding rates. It's really going to be a game changer. And obviously I'm biased. I love Pendle. But they have a couple new markets. They have SUSDX just came online. They have ASUSDF from srusd, which is kind of cool. They also have Level that's come on here, so stake Level, and even EUSDE. I'm surprised that's not even in the top like 20. That's kind of crazy. Only 13% implied yield. We'll see what happens over there with that platform. But so anyways, you can get the fixed rate 18%. You can get the fixed rate 17%, depending on which you like to be exposed to. I think most people are fine being exposed to USDE sort of as a rule of thumb. ASUSDF, if you guys don't know what asterisk is, it's doing the same thing as USDE. So it has the basis trade underlying the yield, plus it's a season 1 airdrop. Those are typically bigger. I think it's using its own perp dex as its underlying basis trading mechanism. So that's one thing. But also I think Athena's gonna do that with their ethereal perp dex when that finally launches. And Wrapstake USR also doing that, right? So we have a bunch of things on here that are underwritten, I suppose, by basis trading and also getting points. So Athena, Resolve, and Asterisk. Then Level is kind of like a basket of things. The real original stake Level yield came from, I think, lending aggregation or lending on Aave with this like Athena mechanism. You have to think about that, right? There's also some sort of seasonal points in there. These are fixed rate, fixed date. If you want to go do the points, you can get the points. So when you do the fixed rate, fixed date, you don't get the points. If you want to get your points, right? If you want to have your cake, have your yield, and get points too, eat it too, then you can go to pools. In pools, stablecoins, right, sort by APY. It's currently 22% base APY with no VE Pendle boost, and you get points. You get a 3.6x X points multiplier. You can also do FUSDT. You only get base APY there. Base APY 20%, pretty good. Go USDR. There's apparently Resolve multiplier there. You get Resolve points and a base rate. Oh, base rate 11%. So the detriments and benefits. Benefits are you're going to get a real yield. You're going to get a yield, and you're also going to get points. Now, you're going to get a lower yield probably than the fixed rate of the PTs, and you're also probably going to get a lower amount of points because typically you only get points on the part of that LP that is point bearing. So if you're doing like SUSDX, you're going to be PT SUSDX in that pool against SYUSDX. The SYSUSDX does generate points. The PT part does not. So there is that. Do be mindful of that. But still, you get yield, you get points. Can you really be mad about that? All right. Then there is Spectra. Spectra, doesn't have as much liquidity, but does have some interesting opportunities. If we go over to, so pools, the same thing, right? So if you're looking at pools, this is where you would get the yield plus the points. Not a lot of high APYs there. Kind of disappointing. But if you go to fixed rate, there are sometimes, yeah. So like SCUSD is 16% fixed rate, fixed date. Only 2 million liquidity. I will say, I like Spectra, but if the Pendle yields are better, I'm gonna prefer them. Obviously, also it's a bigger protocol. I do like Spectra, right? Curve convex guys, solid team, but Pendle just has the best opportunities right now. If you're on Solana, right? If you're on Salami and you want to do the same thing, fixed rate, fixed date on stablecoins, you can. It is possible. So you go over to Radex, app.radex.io, and check this out, 15%, 14%, 13%. Now you might be thinking, why would I go for those if I can get 19% on Pendle? That's a great question. Maybe go for the Pendle, but here's why you would, right? Here's the argument. The argument for the PTs on Radex is that you also get points. So you participate in the rate X points. Now, you might want to do this because I think, in my opinion, Radex has one of the best chances, if not the best chance, at becoming the Pendle protocol of Solana. And if it does, and Solana DeFi takes off next cycle, maybe this cycle's not over, right? Maybe we're only like 3/4 of the way through. Maybe the cycle hasn't even begun. I don't know, that's true. Like Bitcoin's hit all-time highs. Obviously, the cycle's begun. But I think DeFi will come to Solana in a real way at some point in time. And if Radex positions itself as the Pendle of Solana successfully, then you will have wanted to get points exposure to that. So there's that. You get points, you get PT, you get fixed rate yield. I like it. Why not? So there's that on Solana. There's also Carrot protocol. I didn't pull it up because I didn't want to grab the wrong link. Let me see. Can I? Yeah. This is kind of like a stablecoin protocol. You guys don't see it yet. Here it is. This is also on Solana. The yield has been okay. Current APY is 5%. We're not even look at this. But what we will look at is Resolve. So we mentioned Resolve before. Yes, we're going to have an airdrop. Yes, we're still technically in season 1. It's a long season 1. Yes, this is an Athena-like mechanism, except it has a senior and junior tranche. I've talked about it a bunch of times. You probably know about it already. But USR is their stablecoin. RLP is their junior tranche that acts kind of like a stablecoin. You can see its sort of price history here. It's typically up and to the right with some crazy wicks because people are buying on the market instead of minting. Like madmen, don't do that. Don't be that guy. This is someone leveraging with way too much money when they shouldn't have because they probably got destroyed in that trade because of slippage and price impact when they should have just manually leveraged. So if you're going to leverage RLP, manually do it. Don't buy through a market or else you'll be this guy who lost any gains he could possibly get over the next year and a half. So RLP, junior tranche, typically it's a better APR. USR, senior tranche, beautiful peg. Doesn't take on any of the risk of carry trades or leg risk or opening positions and closing positions. Only gets a portion of the yield and is effectively a stablecoin. 7.22% APR. I personally, a little bit more risk on than most. I like RLP, but it has gone down before. So like this is the NAV, right? This is the RLP NAV. On the 27th of February, it's gone up. And then one day, negative funding. Negative funding took the NAV from 1.17 to 1.169925. So it did go down. And then, of course, it's been up again ever since then. But I just want you guys to know that there is a chance that RLP does go down, does have like a decrease in NAV. If you want to leverage RLP, there are a few places to do it. The one that I like, my own personal bias, is Euler. I like them. I work with them. I think they're like the fastest growing money market in DeFi. They're on a bunch of chains now. We should talk about Sonic in a bit, but first we'll look at the Ethereum opportunity. If we go over to strategies, the ones with the highest real yield, so yield that is not coming from emissions or Royal, tends to be the either Resolve market. So this is the Apostle Resolve market, this is the Tulipa Resolve market, and typically on RLP. So this is RLP, USR, and that's 7.8%. If leverage historically has been a lot higher, I wonder if they show that. There's also RAF staked USR against USDC at 73%. There's a few other ones in here, but you can leverage it over there. Tends to be pretty good. It's not always good, apparently. RLP against USDC is right now at negative 1.46%, but historically it's been really good. So just showing you those, showing you where you can play with those. There's also leveraging the PT, so PT, RAF staked USR, fixed rate on the collateral, variable borrow rate, could be good, but of course you're foregoing points when you do that. Okay, so what else is there, right? What if you want to look for stablecoins, you just click USD on the collateral, you click USD on the debt asset, and then what I do is liquidity over $100,000. I'm not looking for anything where liquidity is under $100,000, and let's go by max ROE. Oh, I just wanted to. This is greater than 1. Let's get rid of all the negative ones. And so you can see here, there are some other ones that are pretty cool. Oh, there's no liquidity here. Why did this show up? Let's do this. That shouldn't have popped up. But there are a bunch of these here, if you want to go check them out, there you go. Now, stability pools. We should talk stability pools. Last time I did this video, I talked about the bold stability pool, Liquidity V2. And that was an immutable smart contract. Liquidity team is phenomenal. They found a bug in their system, or their auditor did. So their auditor was doing like rolling audits, found something that could be potentially dangerous. They told everybody, no one was affected, no exploit happened, and they're going to be relaunching with that fixed. Now, pros and cons of having immutable smart contracts. Pros, it can never be changed. So the team can't rug you. It's immutable. Cons, if you need to fix something, you have to relaunch the entire protocol. So they are going to relaunch the entire protocol with the new bold soon. Hopefully we'll see some cool stuff sort of mid-March there. Now, F of X also has a stability pool. currently USDC FXUSD is their liquidity pool for FXUSD, up to 27% on Curve. If you go to Convex, you can check this out, and it's around 18, 19, 20%. Or you can just do literally just the FXUSDC stability pool gauge, which is also around 18%, 16% on Convex, which is where you would get it automatically boosted for you. So I like those. Now, what I'm really excited for is staked FXUSD. So just imagine you have a composable version of FXUSD. So, maybe the lowest yield is 13%, but if you have intrinsic 13% on a stablecoin and you can leverage that anywhere, Morpho, Euler, there's a few other permissionless places, but those are probably the two places you'd see that first, maybe Silo, also maybe even LlamaLend because of the associated teams. Then you can leverage that up and you might be able to get like a 45% APR, which is just crazy. So I'm really looking forward to staked FXUSD, hitting the composability scene and seeing sort of what can be done with it. In the meantime, there it is. Go check it out. And all right, we'll also look at Midas. So Midas is not the Midas from last run. If you remember that Midas, that is not the same one. This Midas has effectively built out the legal and smart contract infrastructure for on-chain hedge funds. Now, they may hate me saying that, but that is kind of what they've done. And now like Edge Capital, MEV Capital, and RE7, all of these top-tier strategists, top-tier curators in DeFi, you've probably seen them on major money markets. They work with like EtherFi, they work with Euler, they work with Morpho, they work with Reservoir, they work with a whole bunch of different teams out there. These guys, I would consider the big three. Stakehouse would also sort of be in there. They are running on-chain hedge funds and getting 20 to 22% APY on these strategies. Now, I think that's really cool. To me, just seeing these sort of come on chain and be permissionless, that's awesome. And if you click, you can even go and see what they're doing, which is even cooler. So let's look at what Edge is doing. I happen to know the Edge guys. I think they're very, very, very smart. And it's kind of incredible this exists. Oh no. Oh. So apparently they won't let me in because of my VPN. Wait, let me see. No, geoblock. What if I get rid of the word geoblock? What are the odds it'll work? Let's try it again. Darn. But if you do have a more robust VPN, then you can access this and you can click on like the smart contract and it will show you all the strategies that are underlying these vaults, which is really cool. You can literally just audit their hedge fund in real time. You can see what they're doing. So I love that. I think that's awesome. Go check out Midas. And Midas also doesn't have a token yet. So good chance there might be an airdrop for participating in this stuff, which I also like. Let's talk Dolomite. This is actually one that should have been in the bear chain section that I mentioned earlier. The real thing that I like here, there's one strategy I think is obviously good, right? It's obviously good and is not appreciated enough. It is the srusd against any stablecoin on their loop. Why? Because USDE has an intrinsic yield of 8.15, plus it's getting sats. And because of Boyko, they had $400 million in pre-deposits that's stuck there. They have a really, really low borrow cost for a lot of stables. I mean, you can borrow USDE against it, be purely delta neutral. I mean, no DPEG risks at all, 2.08%. So 83% LTV, I think, 83%, 83. Yeah. So let's just put that in there, right? 83%. Borrow cost was 2.03 or something. Collateral yield was 8.1. I don't know, 8.18. Yep. And then 2.08. So 2.08. And there you go. They're almost 40%, right? srusd, max leverage, no DPEG risk. I like that a lot. I think it's really good. My only thing that I would say is that always be mindful of liquidity. So when you are leveraging on a new chain, if you're doing it automatically, you might get hit by price impact you weren't expecting, or slippage or leverage or whatever else. So consider leveraging up manually the first time. It's only 5x leverage, so you don't really have to do that much. And transactions on Bearchain are effectively free. They're so cheap. So do it manually if you want. You can also literally, if you're paying a premium for srusd for whatever reason, you can just bridge to Ethereum, stake it, bring it back. Even Ethereum, it's like, less than a couple dollars to do stuff now. So I like this one. I think it's really good. I think people are sleeping on it and not like appreciating why this exists. They might think it's going to get diluted. It's not. Like there was a $400 million pre-deposit campaign of locked liquidity on Dolomite, which is why you can borrow so much at such a cheap cost. So keep that in mind. Now, Sky savings rate, 6.5%. Sky savings rate. Sky is formerly Maker DAO. Well, kind of like there are new, like they both still exist, but Sky is kind of formerly Maker DAO, and the Sky savings rate 6.5%. You can borrow the unstaked version of this USDS against staked USDS at 3.43% net. The actual cost is 5.42, but then it's being subsidized at 2%. So it's 3.43. Okay, so let's type that in. I think also at 93% LTV, that's crazy. So let's go over here again. 93%. Borrow cost was, what was it, 3 point something? This was 3.43. So let's put that in. 3.43. Collateral yield is 6.5. That is a 47.29% yield on Sky savings. That's a really, really good yield. That's on base chain, on Compound. And also, if you are considering this one, just know you will be participating in some base chain airdrop in the crazy future. We don't know. We've heard rumors that Base will have an airdrop at some point. Who knows how to participate in it, but doing stuff on base chain, never a bad idea. Compound tends to be the best place to do looping and leveraging. I am nervous about this next one, almost this last one, where we're almost at the very end here. Smartex is a protocol that keeps asking me to talk about them, and so I looked at their thing. I looked at what they had going on, and this is probably a bit mind-boggling if you're looking at it. What's going on? It's USDN is a synthetic stablecoin backed by a delta neutral play, and I will say I don't fully understand it, but I do know that there's a yield involved. And so USDN, or wrapped USDN itself, has had this really here we go, wrapped and unwrapped. Will this show me what the yield is? No, it won't. Manager pool swap tokens. I know there's a place where you can look at this. Redeem. Oh, here it is. Lifetime average. This is what I wanted to see. So the lifetime average APR or APY of this has been like 38%, which is crazy for a stablecoin. The peg is not a peg. It goes up and down every now and again. The wrap version of this apparently is what you would want if you want to get the intrinsically yield bearing version. And you can. I don't completely know how it works. I do know you can mint USDN against ETH, a crazy high collateral factor, which scares me, but go check it out. Maybe you can understand it better than I can. I just know that's a really good stablecoin yield, and the peg has been decent. The peg has been pretty good. That's been going on for a while, and the team is solid. I like the team, but I don't understand it yet, so I need to learn more before I say much more. We talked about Beefy already. I can clear the chain filter, go stablecoins. We can go by, that's a stablecoin, go stablecoins and see sort of what's available. Boosted stable rings, that's really good. There's underlying $11 million there, so 42% on that. You'll probably also get points. You are getting points. That's awesome, 42%. SDI year E, only 4 million, but 4 million is not too bad. It's 39% APR. I kind of like that. This is on Gnosis chain. We have seen some decent yields on Gnosis recently. They're kind of making a comeback a little bit, kind of. Dolafrex USDC. This is kind of a 3 pool on Ethereum. I'm surprised this is so good, but less than $1 million of liquidity. I would ignore it, but maybe you like it. Go FXUSD. We already talked about FXUSD. I like FXUSD. So having this plus Go, 3 million underlying TVL, 26%. That's pretty good. So go check out Beefy. They auto compound your yield for you. I have no association with Beefy. I've liked them since last cycle, and I'm glad they still exist. Aura will be the last one we look at. There are kind of some here, a little bit, not a ton of liquidity, but some interesting yields for stablecoins. Maybe not. I don't know. This is crazy low TVL. I wouldn't like advocate for any of this. Sort by VAPR. This is not stablecoins. I mean, this is kind of good, right? Wrapped USDL. It's only got 36,000. So like you can go there, but don't expect to not dilute this, is what I would say. If we sort by TVL, do we have any of the, yeah, I mean, 13%, that's not bad, but like, compared to everything else we just looked at, are you really going to get out of bed for 13%? Probably Probably or not. That is all. That's a lot of yields, guys. We just went over so many yields. And technically we could go over more. There's Open Eden, which is going to have points on USDO. I think creds are their point system. There's also Maple, which has, 9% intrinsic yield, which is pretty good, plus 5% from the syrup token, or that's syrup, not Maple. There's also iPour, which has 11% for their lending aggregator. There's Superform, which has points plus around 11% for their lending aggregator. Oh, there is one more that I will show you, because has been really high and, relatively risk adjusted. This is a vault that, if you guys know Drift, you already know which one I'm going to talk about. That is curated. I like the word curate. I think that's the right word there. By Explore and Compare. Yeah, that's probably it. The up to 101% APY. I don't know how that works, but that's really good. Lending. Which one are they talking? Vaults. Here we go. Yeah, I want to go with the vaults. View vaults. It's the Gauntlet vault. Manager. We want to go Gauntlet. And HJLP. That's it. So HJLP. In kind, they 455k liquidity. I don't think they're at capacity. No, they still have room left here. 41% APY. They've been managing this vault really, really well. Shout out to them. Crazy high fees on it. But even after the fees, so the net APR or APY that you're getting is 41%. They take a 30% performance fee on this, which is just mind-boggling. But 41% sort of versus, as far as I understand, stablecoins. So that's been really good. That's been nice, and I like it. So that's the last one. If you want to be on the cutting edge of stablecoin yields, certainly join the DeFi Adopter Discord. I am an ambassador for a number of the protocols I mentioned. Granted, I only take on ambassadorships when I really like a protocol. So it's a chicken and egg program. Am I talking about them because I'm an ambassador, or do I do ambassadorships because I like them or I'm talking to them? It's a bit of both. So do know that I won't list all of the ones, but just assume that I'm working with these teams that I talked about them. It's not true. There's a lot of ones I'm not working with, but there's a lot that I am. So I do have ambassadorships. Do keep that in mind and join the DeFi Adopter Discord, become a member, and learn about all the best yields in the entire universe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your